call this meeting to order. This is a regular city council meeting of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington. It is March 11th, 2025, and the time is 6 p.m. The meeting is being held at the Ocean Shores Convention Center. The meetings are simulcast and archived on KOSW Radio. Meetings are live streamed with closed captioning and may be accessed on the city website under council recordings. The meetings can be viewed on cable channel 68 Thursdays at 12 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. Can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Sires?
Here.
Councilmember Taylor?
Here.
Councilmember Griebel?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Scott?
Here.
Councilmember Wills?
Here.
Councilmember Hartman?
Here.
All right, Richard, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Would like to see a motion to approve the amendment or the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to table
14. Second.
All right, we have a motion to table item 14. We have a second. Is there any other comments? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, please. If we table item 14, then we cannot move forward with item 19 because we need to amend the city code in order to pass the request on 19. So just make sure we're aware of that.
And I have a question.
Yes, Richard.
Why do we want to table 14?
Well, we'll ask Tom.
Oh, my.
I think we should take it to Public Safety Committee to look at it first.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Denise.
Yeah, I would like you to elaborate on that a little bit, because we know that the volunteers have been handling the kennel business.
Yes, it's basically to look at all the players and if there's liability, any other liability that could fall down on the city that would cost us money.
Yes, Richard.
So when or if we got to the discussion, one of my questions I wanted clarified is liability for like dangerous dogs. But if we're not going to have the discussion, I'm not in favor of canceling this myself. I don't see any reason to cancel it. I read the ordinance. It looks pretty good to me. And the people that are running the vault, the salty dog, they've been doing this for a long time. And they've been doing something similar. This is in their wheelhouse. So that's my personal opinion. And it's up to the council vote.
All right. Yes, Lisa Griebel.
I would say that I would trust Tom's expertise in this as with his line of work and his knowledge of this area. If he thinks it's something that should be tabled or postponed and taken to the Public Safety Committee, I think I'd have to adhere to what Councilmember Taylor thinks.
All right. We have any other comments or questions? All right. All in favor of tabling those two items?
Aye.
All right. Can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Sires?
Yes to table.
Councilmember Sires is a yes. Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor is a yes. Councilmember Griebel?
Yes.
Councilmember Griebel is a yes. Councilmember Scott?
Yes.
Councilmember Scott is a yes. Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein is a yes. Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman is a yes. Councilmember Wills?
No.
Councilmember Wills is a no. That's 6 yeses and 1 no.
All right. So
It's 14 and 9.
14 and 19. All right. So that's passed to table those two. Can we get a
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We will move on. That passes. We have ceremonies and proclamations. The City of Ocean Shores Police Department, Patrol Officer Weston Free introduction. That'll be presented by Chief Nikki Logan, and he will do his oath of office.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Scott, and citizens of Ocean Shores. This evening, I take great pleasure in introducing our newest entry-level police officer, Weston Free. Officer Free started on February 16th, and because he is an entry police officer, we will be sending him away to the academy where he will receive just over 4 months of classroom training. This academy start date is scheduled for April 1st, which is right around the corner. If everything goes well, and I have no doubt that it will, he will be graduating on August 6th. And we will see him back here at the August 12th council meeting for his badge pinning. We're not doing his badge pinning tonight because his uniforms didn't get here yet. So to give a little background on Officer Free, he was born in Minnesota, and his family moved here to Ocean Shores when he was 3. He has never really left Grays Harbor County. He graduated from North Beach High School in 2022. And if anyone knows Hayak sports, you will most likely have heard his name or even seen him watched him play football or wrestle. Or it's possible that during the summer breaks, you may have seen him working in one of our local businesses, such as Buddy and Howie's Candy Store or Ace Hardware. More recently, he has been working as a laborer with a local construction company where he has worked since he was a senior in high school. In 2021, while he was still in high school, Officer Free enlisted in the Washington Army National Guard, where he is still active. And during his combat medic training, he earned his national certification as an EMT. So that is pretty much Officer Free. At this point in my tenure, I have done quite a few introductions of police officers. And by now, most people know that every time I do one of these introductions, I always say that the only way our officers are going to be successful in this profession is if they have the support of their family and loved ones. Officer Free obviously has that support, as he is joined here tonight by his wife, Eva, and their new baby, along with his father. And I think, okay, wow, lots of family showed up. So I got to say, he was not happy that his wife might have told other family members about this going on tonight and that he would have that family support show up. But he does have plenty of family out in the family, which is amazing, because that is absolutely what he is going to need to make it in this career. I have no doubt that Officer Free's dedication to this department, nor his commitment to serving the community he grew up in, is going to be an amazing show to see, for sure. I can't wait to watch this new officer grow and shape the career he has ahead of him. And I absolutely believe Officer Free is going to be a great addition to the Ocean Shores Police Department. And if we can have Sarah do his oath of office.
I, Weston Free, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Washington, the laws of the State of Washington, the ordinances of the City of Ocean Shores, and will faithfully perform the duties of Patrol Officer for the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to the best of my ability.
All right, y'all got ahead of me again. I was going to say, join me in welcoming our new police officer, Weston Free, and make sure we all come back on August 12th when we do his badge pinning, because I am bound and determined to embarrass him even more. Okay, so for our second introduction this evening, I would like to introduce Molly Niskoda as our newest civilian member of the Ocean Shores Police Department. Molly started on February 19th as the police administrative assistant. Molly is local, born and raised here in Grays Harbor County. She was born in Aberdeen and graduated from Hoquiam High School. She has attended South Puget Sound Community College and also attended Carrington College, where she received her certificate to be a dental assistant. With that, she has worked in dental offices here in the county. She has also worked as a park ranger for state parks, and she has been a volunteer with Fire District 7. With her office experience in the dental offices and the taste of law enforcement experience she received at being a park ranger, she has come into our office with all the confidence and background to be a very successful police administrative assistant. I will tell you, being a police administrative assistant is not for the timid or faint of heart. She is not out there on the streets with the officers handling calls. But I can tell you that she can be in the middle of reliving the good and the bad situations with the officers in the office by hearing stories, reading reports, and working on redacting body cam footage. This position is also responsible for keeping track of the officers, as well as supervising the records clerk and evidence tech position. And most importantly, she is responsible for keeping track of the chief. Me. And that by itself is a full-time job. I can tell you that. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that the police administrative assistant is pretty much responsible for the entire department. And I'm pretty sure she didn't realize that when she signed up. Thankfully, our prior administrative assistant left plenty of good notes and directions on important areas Molly will need to be focusing on. With those notes, she has been able to jump right in and get to work with very little guidance. She has already proven to be an amazing and hardworking individual with a positive attitude, and we are all excited to have her working with us. And can we have Sarah do oath of office here?
I, Molly Niskoda, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Washington, the laws of the State of Washington, the ordinances of the City of Ocean Shores, and will faithfully perform the duties of Police Department Administrative Assistant for the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to the best of my abilities.
Oh, hey, wait. Let me say please join me in welcoming our police administrative assistant, Molly Niskoda.
At least somebody's going to keep an eye on you.
All right, we'll go to board and committee vacancies. There are 4 vacancies on the Parks Board, 2 vacancies on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, 4 vacancies on the Fresh Waterways Advisory Committee, and 1 vacancy on the Library Board of Trustees. We have no appointments today, and so for our reports, first up is going to be the Library Board of Trustees report with Library Director Keitha Owen. Oh, and Alex Suarez and Becky Moore.
Okay, we're done. That's it. You introduced them. Good evening, Council. For the past few years, the Library Board of Trustees was visiting with council at least once a month and giving you an update on what was happening at your library. And we kind of fell off on that cycle for a while, and now this new board has decided to do that again, and they are going to update you about your library 4 times a year. See if I can get this right. There we go. I hope you will take a few minutes and visit your library. We've had several recent changes that have occurred. We have a 4-foot by 2-foot Lego interactive board that's been installed on the bookshelves in panels for the kids to make cute designs. And this morning, somebody wrote, "Hi, you," with these little Legos. It was so cute. So stop in and see that. These were funded by the Friends of the Library. In the teen area, we added a big, about the size of this table, rolling, 2-sided, S-curved book display unit. And on top, we put 10-inch letters that say TEENS for teens. And they light up and they change colors. And when you're walking down the library, you see that and you immediately know that's the teen area. And the kids have loved it. And it's amazing how those books are flying off those shelves because they see them right there. They're not stuffed in the stacks. And then we also added in the teen area, let me get this right, a colorful board with lights around it. It's about 2 feet by 1 foot, and it announces events. You can write on it with different colors. The lights sparkle. And this morning, Michelle had on it the Dungeons and Dragons events that teens are invited to, and the Teen Advisory Board monthly meeting. So it's just a real interactive way to get the teens more in the library. So with that, please stop by and visit the library. I will turn this over to Alex Suarez, and then we'll listen to Becky Moore.
Hello, everybody, and it is my job today to introduce you to the Board of Trustees of the Ocean Shores Library. And the Board of Trustees establishes policies and long-term plans for the direction of the library. It's a little different from some of the other advisory boards in the city in that it is a governing board. We tell Kita here, as library director, what are the policies and the things that she's going to implement and the budgets and the directions of the board, and Kika does it wonderfully. The Board of Trustees is recommended by the mayor and supported by the council, and it is often confused by the other 2 boards in the library, so I just wanted to separate those a little bit. There are 2 other organizations that help the library in that they offer financial support and other kinds of support. They are the Friends of the Library and the Library Foundation. They are independent nonprofit organizations completely separate from the Board of Trustees. And they are not supported by the city or the council. However, their gifts are supplements to what the city and the council gives to the library. They do not replace them. So that's the Board of Trustees.
All right, Miss Becky Moore.
Hi, everybody. So I am going to just share a few things that are going on at the library. If I was to share them all, we'd be here all night, and I know you all don't want that. But first, I want to talk to you about a program that is one of the things the library does as a service to the community, and I think it's really undersung, and that is the Book a Techie program. So for 30 minutes, you can get a face-to-face meeting with one of our librarians, and I don't know which one. Do you want to? Nick, I thought it was. I just didn't want to say the wrong thing. Nick, who will help you out with your computer or with getting savvy about using the technology in the library, like the computers at the library, and things like that. And I just think it's a really wonderful thing. To do that, you will want to make an appointment, give the library a call, or drop by to Book a Techie and get that help, which I think is fabulous. And then I just want to talk about a couple of other things. One is there's a couple of wonderful programs going on this month for the kids. So, and actually, they're both on Saturday, March 29th. So, earlier in the day on Saturday, from 1 to 2, there's going to be something for the elementary school kids in town, and it is the Diary of a Pig extravaganza. The Diary of a Pug, sorry, not a pig, pug. The Diary of a Pug is a children's book. I happened to look it up and look at some of the pictures of the pages, and it's just adorable. But they're going to have fun games, a dog craft, scavenger hunt, and more going on for the elementary school age kids. So that would be wonderful if you have kids come along. And then in the evening, there's going to be the Teen Spring Party. And that's going to be from 6 to 8:30 p.m., again on Saturday, March 29th. All the local kids from grades 7 to 12 are invited to the party. There's going to be video games, karaoke, food, and the theme of that party is black and white. So awesome stuff going on. In April, for the adults now, there's a couple of one-time programs going on. Let's see, Tuesday, April 29th, from 2 to 3, there's going to be the Pacific Northwest UFO discussion. So they want to have a conversation about UFOs in the Pacific Northwest with an emphasis on coastal sightings. So from past to present, Ocean Shores local and reluctant witness Kevin Carney will lead the discussion on this local and global phenomenon. So bring your stories to share or come and listen to some of the interesting sightings people have had here locally. And then in a whole different vein, there's going to be chair yoga on Wednesday, April 30th from 2 to 3 p.m. It's also going to include aromatherapy. So Krista Rogers, a yoga instructor and aromatherapy therapist, is going to do that. And you can come, and that one you would want to contact the library to register, because I know she'll want to prepare for the number of people that might attend. So yeah, go check out the library website for way more things than I just told you about.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. So next up, we have a Grays Harbor County Annual Report, and that is going to be by Vicki Rains, and we thank her for showing up tonight to fill us all in.
Now, can you hear me? Okay. Thanks for having me this evening. It's been a while, but I wanted to provide a little update and then answer any questions that you might have for me related to the county. I first want to thank the Mayor Eldwin, for giving me this opportunity. And over the last year since he came into office, we've met periodically, and we decided last fall that we were going to meet regularly at least every other month or so, and we've done that. We've already met twice this year. And those meetings have also given me a little bit bigger perspective on some of the issues that Ocean Shores is facing. We've worked to try and connect with the Department of Health over some hotel motel standards, and so we've got some connections there that we are working on. We met with Chief Ritter regarding the fire break and the expansion on the fire break, and I know a lot more than I've ever knew before or really wanted to know about waxed myrtle. And so we do have connections now specifically with Fish and Wildlife and with Department of Ecology. It's nice that we also have parks represented here tonight. Great to have Joe with us as well. And hopefully, I came out to take a look at that. I'm a visual learner, so to be able to see the fire break and the issues that are here with the city, that if you do have a fire, it can spread very quickly and be detrimental not just to wildlife and the park and type dune area, but also numerous residences that are in that area. So hopefully we'll be able to work together to get a path forward to get that at least expanded and then in a manageable fashion so that it's not so overgrown. We've had several meetings. I know Marshall's in the audience tonight with the Cooperating Technical Partners, the CTP, regarding the erosion issues here in Ocean Shores as well as in Westport. And I didn't get brought into that until last fall, around September, October timeframe, to have conversation specifically around what was trying to be accomplished. And it's been a learning step for me. But both the cities agreed, at least those at the table agreed, that the county should take the lead. And so I went back and with very little, no pushback at all, and just little discussion, the county commissioners agreed that we would submit that proposal to the federal level to be able to hopefully get a response back and then be able to apply for that grant to help the two cities. And we also kind of expanded the area so it's not just right in Ocean Shores and Westport, but also up the beach a ways. So I know we have issues with erosion at Connor Creek and such that we're working on. So to be able to partner and team up with that is a big deal for us. And so we look forward to that. Some specific changes with the county. Those are things that I've kind of been working with the mayor and some of your city staff on. But with the county, we had a hiring in August of 2024 with the first ever county administrator. And I'm very excited about having Sam Kim on our staff. But I have to admit, I was opposed to hiring a county administrator at the time. I just didn't think that we had the money to be able to do so. Pardon me. I can tell you that in 2024, we budgeted for 45 million, just under 46 million, 45,998,000, and we ended the year. That would have given us about a $3.5 million deficit to come out of our ending cash. But we really made some major cuts and some big strides in the 2024 budget, and we ended the year at 40,770,000. So almost $6 million less than what we had intended on. That's a true testament to the staff that we have at the county and being able to demonstrate that we're spending the citizens' and taxpayer dollars wisely. I can provide you many reports if you're interested. You've probably seen some similar with your cities, but it's a pretty big accomplishment. With Sam now, we're in the process of doing some strategic planning. I brought the idea to strategic planning up when I ran for office in 2014. We had individual, Shelley Hopsicker, many of you probably know her, to the table in 2015. And we just couldn't get buy-in from the commissioners at that time. And so when Sam came on board, I went to his office with the binder and I said, this is what we need to do. And it had been 9 years later. And to be honest with you, when we looked at it, we were still in the position that we were 9 years ago. And that was having the budget run your policy versus policy running your budget. And so we have our first meeting at the end of this month to start strategic planning. We're pretty excited about that. And the other thing that we're doing is really streamlining our services and our departments. We haven't had any layoffs, and we don't plan on any layoffs, but we can and we have found ways to be able to function better and more efficiently, and so that's what we're in the process of implementing now. The mayor and I got to attend last month the 2% committee meeting with the Quinault Indian Nation. For those of you that aren't aware, there is funds collected. It's 2% of the gaming proceeds by the Quinault Beach Resort and Casino are placed into a fund, and then we meet annually to discuss the calls for service that surrounding agencies have had. So it would be the Ocean Shores Police, Ocean Shores Fire, 911, the Sheriff's Office, and Fire District Number 7. And the City of Ocean Shores should be receiving about $10,500 for calls for service reimbursement from the tribe. That recommendation was made and sent to from the State Gambling Commission is also on that committee, but from our meeting as a recommendation to tribal council for payment, and they've never not paid. So I'm anxious for that. I do want to, I know the city's also undergone some changes, some staff changes, and I just want to give my thanks and appreciation to Sarah Logan, because when we were trying to tabulate, there was a new person last year for the 2% committee for Ocean Shores, and that person's no longer with the city. And Sarah asked me right away, well, what do you need? And I told her, and within a couple business days, I had everything that I needed well in advance of the meeting. So I appreciate your efforts, Sarah, to bring that to the table and really jump in without missing a beat. So I appreciate that. Currently, our budget this year is doing well. We had a separate meeting today with Transit, and we saw that sales tax revenue has increased for our February collection. We had the highest February collection that we've had in the last 4 years of reporting, so that's really good. And hoping that we can accomplish some great things in 25 and 26. I'm going to, hopefully on the 2% committee, hand that over to Sarah to coordinate the invoice for each year going forward. My intention is to not run for reelection at the end of 2026, and I've been doing it since I came on board, preparing the invoices directly. And with the way offices can change leadership, I think you need someone that's going to be around. And I also think that it's better to have someone that's not tribal when we're asking the tribe for funding. Nothing against the tribe, I just think that it's a cleaner position in that way moving forward. We are looking to build a new jail. I've spoken about that before. We have acquired property for a new jail and are in the process of going out for a proposal for an owner's representative. We haven't done this size of a project in the history of the county, at least in the last century. And so we'll be looking at all of our options there, but we need a unit that's about 250 beds, potentially with the additional capacity to add another 50 to 100 beds. And no plan to go out to the public at this point for funding, but I assume that there will be at some point, whether we do a construction loan in-house, public-private partnership, or go to a bond or a combination of the three. So but we'll keep you updated on that. That's something that's pretty near and dear to my heart. We've worked on that since the cities and the counties within Grays Harbor implemented the public safety sales tax back in 2016. So that's all I have, very brief. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. You have a large agenda, but I will entertain any questions that you might have for me.
Have any questions for Vicki?
Did I miss anything,
Yes.
Frank?
No, that was a good report.
You have one, Scott?
Go ahead.
Well, I can add one more collaboration with the county, our CTP process that we're doing in partnership with Westport that Sam Kim is helping steer and that you've already had help. So that is helping us, both cities, mitigate our erosion efforts. So we thank you for that as well.
And that application went in, or proposal went in on Valentine's Day, 2/14/25. So, and we look at various ways that we can partner with the cities, and there's lots of things that we can do and look forward to doing. Did you have a question, Rich? I could see you. You had a look on your inquisitive look on your face. So, all righty, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming, Vicki.
You're welcome.
All right, next we have public communication to council. Public communication to council is intended for communication to the city council regarding general council business or policy not on tonight's agenda. Address comments or questions to the city council body, not to an individual member or to the city staff. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We request that the comments be nice and respectful. This is not a question and answer time, and the council cannot engage in conversation with the public. No person may use the public comment for the purpose of campaigning or advertisement. The city council will begin the time once the citizen has started their public comment. At 2 minutes, you will see a green light, followed by a yellow light indicating 30 seconds remain in the public comment period. The red light will notify the reader that the public comment time has ended. Order of public comments will be first individuals attending in person, second individuals attending remotely. The general public comment, whether in person or remotely, will continue in the usual position on the agenda. So, Scott, who do we have?
All right, well, good evening. We originally had two public comments that were in person, and one of those people has left. If they return, we'll let them speak. And then we have one online, but we will go with Bruce Rittenhouse for inclusiveness. No. I'm sorry, the podium.
Thank you, City Council, for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to say a few words about inclusiveness. We are living in unprecedented times where we have a president who claims he's a king and violates the Constitution, of which he gave an oath to uphold, defend, and protect from foreign and domestic enemies. One of the bedrock responsibilities of our government officials, whether they're local, state, or federal, is to represent and be a voice for our citizens, regardless of their race, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, their beliefs, or who they voted for. We are a stronger community when we are together and practice compassion and empathy for all people. Because of the new administration's cruelty and lack of respect for human decency for hardworking Americans, I come to encourage the mayor and city council to make sure that Ocean Shores remains an inclusive community to all of our residents and our visitors, who they can feel safe from any of these threats. There are many people in our community, and I've talked to a few of them, such as a federal employee who may lose their job only for the reason because of a billionaire who wields a chainsaw, or a family with a special needs child who may lose their Medicare or Medicaid, and also a veteran and senior citizen who is concerned about their Social Security. So again, making sure that everybody is inclusive in this community. This is not this is not how a prosperous and democratic community should function. As leaders in our community, I would like to see that the City Council introduce and pass a resolution to make sure that, again, Ocean Shores is an inclusive community to all of our residents and of our visitors. Our elected officials need to be on the right side of history and stand up to when tyranny is being confronted by them. When you worship power, compassion and mercy look like sins. And from Pastor Benjamin Kremer, that's a quote by him. And I would like to end my comments with a couple of quotes for the City Council to remember. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that's by Martin Luther King. And the second quote is by Abraham Lincoln, who in the Gettysburg Address said that our democracy is based on a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So let's make Ocean Shores an inclusive and welcoming community. Thank you.
That concludes public comment in-house. We have one online public comment. And that is Susan Canary, and no topic is listed.
Thank you, Scott. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Thank you. Tonight, I bring to your attention a troubling pattern of harassment, retaliation, and witness intimidation by city leadership. On March the 8th, 2025, I was falsely accused of trespassing on the erosion control cobble berm while volunteering for the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. Instead of addressing the concern with me directly, the accusation was reported to my supervisor. Not only is this claim entirely unfounded, I am disabled and physically unable to access that berm. But others have indeed trespassed without consequence. This is not an isolated incident. After being identified as a witness in the Misty Cool versus City of Ocean Shores lawsuit, city leadership instead falsely labeled me as a party to the case, canceled my meeting with the mayor, and prohibited me from communicating with city staff, while other witnesses were not subjected to the same restrictions. City leadership went further on this false narrative of me being a party in a lawsuit by claiming that my calls to department heads to pose questions, quote, could make it difficult to move forward on city business. Adding that legal counsel had advised the city not to communicate with me, especially by phone. A subsequent public records request was closed due to non-existent records. The city publicly lists contact information for department heads, fully expecting and allowing public communication. Yet I am being singled out and prohibited from doing what is permitted for others. This is viewpoint discrimination, punishing me for my perspectives and advocacy while allowing others to engage freely. By suppressing my ability to seek information and communicate with officials, the city is not only misrepresenting my actions, but also infringing on my First Amendment rights. Every citizen has the right to speak with public officials and petition their government without retaliation. This ongoing abuse of authority damages my reputation and undermines transparency. While the administration reports to the mayor, the council has a duty to ensure ethical conduct. I urge you to demand an end to this pattern of retaliation. No taxpayer, volunteer, or witness should be subjected to this kind of misconduct. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
All right, we're going to move to council liaison reports and committee reports, and we'll start with Denise.
My liaison meetings are the end of the month. The finance was canceled from last month. I did participate in the city chat along with council members Taylor and Wills, and I attended the town hall on water quality.
All right, thanks. Tom?
I think I've said enough today, but both of mine are not until the end of the month also, so when I have that, I will come back and let you know how those things went.
All right. Lisa Griebel?
Thank you. I have nothing to report this evening.
All right, Lisa Scott?
I attended agenda setting, and also I attended the library board, and I did not give a report at the last meeting. So I'm going to go over some of the things that were discussed at the library board meeting that were not touched upon tonight. The library has 2 new staff. Hannah, I'm hoping I'm going to say this right, Reberg, who has volunteered at the library as a kid and is now on full time. And then David Bernard, who moved here about 7 months ago, just graduated with a master's in library science. So welcome to both of them. I think that's pretty phenomenal. The library, let's see. The circulation stats were a bit down from 2024, but they're starting to come back up. Keitha went over the summary of what happened in 2024, the same summary that she actually presented to council, she presented to the library board. If anybody's interested, the library has maps of the blue zones for bike trails, and also the fire department's guide to fall prevention. They had about 33 people attend the Lego event and sleepover at the library, which is pretty good. For the month of April will be for art in the library, and I'm hoping I'm getting this right. I think it's Vern Schaefer. And also O3A will be giving an overview on what they are going to offer for seniors. I just would encourage you to get onto the library board to see the dates and times for that. This month, they will be starting the public health emergency preparedness, where the Grace Harbor Department of Health will be coming in 3 times a year, starting in March, to talk about preparedness for emergency and disasters. I think it will be March 28th is actually the date on that. But again, I'd encourage you to talk to the library board or get on the library's website to look at that. They still have about 20 to 25 to 30 participants every Friday night for Dungeons and Dragons. Also, what they're working on right now, I can tell you that the Ocean Shores Library Foundation handles their bigger funds for the library, and they're currently working on budget and setting up a Facebook page, and they may actually look at accepting donations in the future. They also sponsor a few things at the library, including sending staff to conferences, which brings me to the fact that the library will be closed on April 11th and 12th, as the library staff will be attending a conference in Tacoma this year. So some of our new librarians that have just been hired will be attending that, but there's enough people gone that the library will be closed. The other thing that the library is working on is updating their strategic plan. So that will be coming forward in the future, but excited to see what they have on tap for that. And then the next library board meeting will be April 9th at 3 p.m. So I'll bring another report forward. And then also I'm on the Public Safety Committee, and I believe we're meeting March 18th for the public safety. So we'll have an update at the next council meeting. And I think that's our very first meeting for public safety. So excited to get that off the ground and started. Thank you.
Thank you. And that meeting will be open to the public, by the way. Allison.
I signed warrants.
All right. I understand that. Rich.
My liaison reports are up to date, and my new meetings are next week.
All right, Richard.
I actually have several things. As always, I sign warrants every Friday. I participated, as Denise said, I participated in the city chat with Denise and Tom Taylor. I attended the agenda review. The finance committee was canceled. I also attended the water quality report, and that was Herrera and AGC. Do I say that right, Scott? AGC. And the biggest takeaway from that is, although we have black slime in some households, the water is actually safe. And everybody that was on the panel, and both the Herrera and the AGC representative, said the water's fine, and they would drink the water out of the tap. And Becky and Tim, who live here in Ocean Shores, they drink the water out of the tap. I drink the water out of the tap. So it's your choice, but the water in Ocean Shores is safe. We are looking at, there's a pilot program to test a different type of coagulant that will capture the phosphorus and bring it out of suspension so that the filters can remove it from the water. And stay tuned. And as that program does what it does, the experts will say this is how we can best treat the water. And I think that treatment will be affordable because this is not going to require any major changes to our water treatment facility. See if there's anything else. Oh, although there was no radio board meeting between this and the last council meeting, I did meet with Marty Hatfield for about an hour and a half. He's the engineer for the radio station, and we discussed in depth some of the challenges of operating a city-owned station, DJ programming, and the providing emergency broadcasting services, which I think is one of the greatest things that our radio station does. So it's been an eventful couple of weeks. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Richard. All right, next we have old business, and we have a resolution. And it's a resolution of the City of Ocean Shores. Oh, did I miss consent? Oh, I missed a whole bunch. Yeah.
I don't have one.
Scott does not have one tonight. All I have here for the mayor's report is we're going to have a town hall on March 24th, 6 p.m. here at the convention center. And it's going to be a discussion with a fiber company that wants to bring fiber to all the homes here in Ocean Shores. So we're pretty happy about bringing that in. That'll make a big difference for everybody's internet service. And then April 2nd, we're having the hospital come in, and they're going to discuss some of the new things that they've brought to the hospital here recently, and they'll also talk about our clinic. So those are two good town halls coming up. And now I'll ask for approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Now, old business. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, adopting revised city council guidelines and procedures, and that will be presented by Denise Sires. Allison's kind of out of commission today.
Yes, she is out of commission. Well, I'm bringing this back for hopefully the last, but thanks to the council for all of the input last time. The idea is to not pass this quickly, but to get it correct and something that we can all live by. So there were 5 changes from our last meeting. The first is on page 38 of our agenda, page 4 of the council guidelines. And that was the change that appears throughout the guidelines now, where we changed citizens to individuals. That was the comment that we actually are not requiring any kind of citizenship, and that citizens is interpreted as being very limited, and anyone can give public comment. So that has changed throughout. Where it had said citizens before, it now says individuals. The next change is on page 6 of the guidelines, or page 40 of our agenda. And that is simply at the top of the page, where we talk about if an individual wishes to speak on an agenda item that has been removed, that previously was listed as F, and we have moved that to the top so it fits better with the flow of what actually happens in terms of public comment. The next change is on page 7 of the guidelines, or 41 of our packet. And that is a correction that we had previously missed, where it says that for standing committees, they are appointed by the council. That is not true. They are indeed appointed by the mayor. So council is crossed out, and we have replaced that with mayor. And we also clarified that there are only 3 standing committees: Public Works, Finance, and Public Safety. And the last 3 lines of that paragraph, part 4, where it talks about the Ethics Committee, is taken out because that is not a standing committee, it is an ad hoc committee. The next change is page 8, or 42 of our agenda packet, and that's under Committee Governance and Oversight, where we have changed that if a committee member or member of the public has a problem on a committee, instead of speaking with the committee chair, that they would provide written communication. And that's repeated, that they will provide written communication, that they can write rather than speak to a council member liaison. And they can also write to the mayor pro tem. And that is for people who might feel uncomfortable actually speaking to someone that they are complaining about. So we are having them use written communication instead. And on page 9, or page 43 of our agenda, at D, we replaced citizen again with an advisory board, commission, or committee of the city. So those should take care of the suggestions, all good suggestions that we had from the last meeting from council. Any questions?
I think we'll go to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this? Not seeing any, we'll go to questions. Oh, there's one online?
Sorry, Don, can you hear me?
Yes, am I okay?
Yep, I hear. Wait, no, we're setting the mic. Okay, now we're setting it. All right, we're go.
Okay, thank you very much. I just have two comments. I think this is very well written. My first comment has to do with a paragraph. I'm getting confused here on my notes, but a paragraph on page 39 of the agenda, also page 5 of the actual document. It's entitled "Request to be included on the City Council meeting agenda." I'm trying to figure out what this means. It's without limitation, so I'm assuming that it says that any person or any group can submit a document to the clerk to get on the council as long as it's 10 days before the meeting. But there's nothing that says here what qualifications that person has to have, or even how anybody decides whether that particular request is going to be honored. There's just nothing here. So I'm assuming that since there's no limitations, that submitting the information results in being put on the agenda. So perhaps you could clarify that. The other question I have is on page 43 of the agenda, on page 9 of the document. The very second line makes reference to the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council as an example of a regional or governing body, which I believe a liaison could be assigned. And I don't know why they have Kitsap County. I think you should change that to represent Grays Harbor County, and it should be changed. I would recommend to, instead of Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council, it should be Grays Harbor Council of Governments. I don't know how that, obviously that was in the previous, whatever it was taken to generate this document, but we have no relationship with Kitsap County, so request you make that change. And that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Questions from the council? Yes, Richard.
I would offer just a comment. I want to thank everybody who was involved in creating this document. I think they've done a fine job. And I kind of agree with what Don said about Kitsap, but that's just using it as an example. And it doesn't matter if it's Kitsap or if it's Olympia. It's just an example. So I'm very happy with this document, and thank you all for the hard work that you did on it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Lisa?
I want to thank the committee as well for all the hard work, and I know we've been back and forth, and honestly, I agree. I think even though it's used as an example, it'd be nice to switch that to Grays Harbor, but I wouldn't see holding it up for another meeting for that.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to make that change right now to Grays Harbor Council of Governments.
All right. Any other questions, comments? I don't see any. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, adopting revised City Council guidelines and procedures.
Second.
All right, we have that. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Frank?
Oh, yes, Denise?
I would just like to call out again the people who did work on this. Allison was the chair of our committee, and we did have 3 citizens work on this, and they had a lot of homework to do. They came back with questions, and while there was not as much input on these guidelines as there was on the ethics, I would still like to thank Rick Beveridge, Joe DeVore, and Jane Shattuck for all of their input on this.
All right, thanks. We'll go to item 12 here. It's a request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, approving the third amendment for the communications site lease agreement with NCWPCS MPL, and that'll be presented by our City Administrator, Scott Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. If you have 70 pages of documentation in front of you, and really there's only one line that matters, but I will just kind of, for the sake of everyone, remind them what we did with this. We brought this forward to council about 5 months ago. I thought we'd negotiated a fairly good deal considering what we had in the past, but council wanted me to look into seeing if we could secure a series of options, and I'll discuss those in a moment. The reason this looks slightly complicated and is slightly complicated is just because of past lease agreements, and you can just see what happens in the cellular industry The original lease agreement was with AT&T Crown Castle. That then became New Singular Wireless, which was then bought out by Pacific Bell, which then merged with Singular Wireless, and now it gives us this long acronym that is that something Singular Wireless PCS MPL. So that's the backstory of why there's so many changes on that, and that's the history of that. But really, all we are concerned about, council sort of gave me a mandate when they asked me to go back and look at this, and they said, well, we had three real options. We could change the duration of the lease and make it for a shorter period of time. And I kind of knew that Crown Castle / this long acronym was not interested in that option. I was then encouraged also the possibility of adding an annual CPI that would be capped at 3.5%, and that would start in November of 2031 and run through the duration of the lease. And then a third option, which is what their legal team wanted, was that there would be a flat amount that would start on November 1st, 2040, of an additional $500, and that the rent would go from $2,000 to $2,500 a month and run for a period of 10 years. That's what is called Step C in this document, and that's on page 114. It's really just the two lines, but that change did get the city an additional $60,000 over the course of the next 10 years. And that seems to be what council wanted me to do, but I'm happy to go to public comment on that matter.
All right. We have any public comment? All right. Seeing none, nobody online? Okay. Council, any questions or comments? Yes, Rich.
Thank you, Scott, for going back and doing your best.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Anybody else? Yes, Richard.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, approving the Third Amendment for the Communications Site Lease Agreement with NCWPCS MPL.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, new business. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending the Ocean Shores Municipal Code Title 10, Chapter 10.32, Wheeled All-Terrain Vehicles. And this will be presented by Police Chief Nikki Logan and our State Parks Area Manager, Joe Fernandez.
Okay. The City of Ocean Shores has recently examined the existing Municipal Code Chapter 10.32 regarding wheeled all-terrain vehicles. It was noted that during the code revision processed in September of 2023, language under Section 10.32.30B was inadvertently removed. This language is necessary to ensure state parks and Ocean Shores Police Department can enforce the restricted access of ATVs and WATVs on the beaches. Allowing the beach approaches to be accessible and legal to ATVs and WATVs gives a false impression that this kind of equipment is authorized to be utilized on the beaches. When I brought the ordinance forward in September of 2023, it was with the intent of just removing the requirement for helmets, which everybody at that time passed. And somehow this language was removed, and we can't figure out how that happened or why it happened. But everybody that was on council approved it that way, but you didn't realize you approved it like that. So what we're requesting is to have that language put back into the ordinance. Back when the city was originally, had originally approved to have the all-terrain vehicles legal to be on our streets, State Parks came to Mayor Dingler at the time and requested that we, basically requested that we not approve it on our streets, but at the very least restrict the access on the beach approaches and the beach, because it is illegal to have them on the beach. And they didn't want the confusion of us having them legal in the city, but not on the beach. So they wanted us to have that wording in there. And that's when the amendment was made to go back and add this language to begin with. So we're just asking that language to be placed back in because as of right now, the stance that State Parks is making has not changed. They still would like to have that wording in there to make it illegal. And we even had a letter, if you all saw your emails before you came in tonight, from State Parks requesting that we put it back in. Also, again, saying that they don't want us to have it legal in the city again. I don't see us changing that. But I am requesting that we put the wording back in to make it illegal to have them on the beach approaches and on the beaches.
All right. Do we have any public comment? I see none. Council, any questions or comments? Yes, go ahead.
Do we have signs posted at each of the entries to the beach that you can't have them on the beach?
I believe we did at one time, having them on the approaches. And then we started having questions about it, saying, but it's not in your ordinance. Then we went back and looked and noticed that it had been removed. And so we had the signs removed at that time.
So we're going to put them back up?
We will put them back up, yes.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, Lisa Scott.
I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending Ocean Shores Municipal Code, Title 10, Chapter 1032, Wheeled All-Terrain Vehicles, to reflect the changes as written.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
All right. Next up, we have an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending Section 15.08.030 of Chapter 15.08 in the International Building Code of Ocean Shores Municipal Code, and this will be presented by our building official, Roy Simmons.
Okay, so the code that I'm looking to have changed is 15.08.030, and it's the finished floor height. So in the B1 and B2 zones, currently you have to be 12 inches higher than the crown of the road. And I just want to change that to be in all zones. Reasons for that are drainage issues. We've got a lot of houses. There's actually houses out here that we sandbag every year because of flooding, because they're allowed to be put in low ground. And we also, the building code in the IRC and the IBC requires 6 inches and 10 feet of slope from a building, and that keeps the water away from the foundation. And so currently we're doing about 12 to 20 a year in the last 3 years, foundation lifting and repairs. And that bill can range anywhere from $20,000 to $120,000. So it's not an insignificant amount. And if I can stop that or try to prevent that, we're also moving. I'll be up here quite a bit, I think, this year. I got a lot of code stuff I need to change. But we've currently adopted the 2005 SWIP manual. And that's for the stormwater and erosion. And as we move up and get into the current code cycle on that, we're going to start enforcing silt fencing and different things, trying to trap the water on your own property. So you can infiltrate it, or if you can get it to a ditch or something. But as we start developing these lots, the vacant lots have been taking more water than you know because you don't see it. And as we start filling these streets, you're going to start seeing pockets of water on the road. The public works guys are going to have to be out there and start dealing with it. And so this is just the beginning of where I want to go. Again, though, it's more for drainage and moving water away from the foundations. So.
All right, thanks. Any public comment? None? How about council? Any questions or comments? I don't see any. Yes, Lisa Scott.
I'll go ahead and like to make a motion amending section 1508030 of chapter 1508 of the International Building Code of the City of Ocean Shore of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next, another ordinance here, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending section 15.10.010 and 15.10.030 of chapter 15.10 Energy Code of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code. And that's presented by Roy.
So another updating. So the current code that we have adopted was spelled out in the UBC, Uniform Building Code, which hasn't been around for 20 years. So 25 years, sorry. So so I just wanted to update the code, and instead of writing how every little thing, the code, the insulation values you have to have in your walls, I just wanted to have the residential and the commercial codes, as adopted in their most current form. Then we don't have to come up here every year and redo things, right? So, and it's all plainly written in the 5111R and the 5111C in the state code. So, for the Washington State Energy Code. So that was just an effort to clean up some old stuff and make it so it runs in perpetuity without having to come up here and ask for a revised adoption. So.
All right, thanks. Any public comment? Council?
No, there's one out in the audience.
Oh, is there one? Oh, yes. Jan, go ahead.
Hello, I'm here. Jan Hyatt, resident. This is a great idea, absolutely. My question would be, though, when the state updates theirs, then we'll make a note that there's been an update, or how will that be handled? Thank you.
Sorry, so it's in its most current form. So,
yeah. No, you don't answer the question.
Oh, I don't.
All right. Any council?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, go ahead. Please.
Just I've not been on the website, so to specifically look, but for the audience, do you have the ICC codes available on the city's website?
So we did not purchase them in that form. That format is probably about $2,200, which we could do. And you can buy them from the ICC, and then we could load that in there if that's what we want to do. Currently, I have code books in the library now. I have code books at the counter, and we invite people in, and I'm with the builders all day long with these things.
I would recommend in the future looking at buying that just for reference, so people can, when you're referring to the sections, it's easy for them to go look on the city's website. I think that would be a good addition. But you can answer, maybe have you answer or do Jan's question, but every time we adopt new building codes, anytime there's a new issue, the city does bring that forward for adoption as a whole with ICC codes. So you will get, when the city adopts new codes, that comes every 2 years, roughly.
Yeah, it's the third year every
3 years.
July.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, in answering the question, that is that does get renewed every code cycle. Sorry.
Yes, Richard.
I want to riff on what Councilmember Scott said. So in my experience, if I wanted to see one of those IRCs or any of the other code, I can go online and Google it and usually find it. Is that correct?
You can. I get in debates with some builders quite frequently, and it's like, let's just Google it, and you can pull it up. But yeah, it would be nice if the city did provide it so that everybody would have access to it. But I like I said, it was an expense, and I still trying to get my feet under me in my department and how we're doing with our finances.
So it's nice to spend $2,200 and have it on our website, but it's not as essential. If any builder or any homeowner wanted to go and see it, they can see it with not very. All they need is a computer. I'm asking.
It depends because the ICC wants you to purchase their subscription. So other jurisdictions have it online that you can go and probably look at from other jurisdictions. But yeah,
It makes sense, but I can think of a dozen things that I would like to spend $2,200 on, rather than a manual that's nobody's going to look at. That's just a thought.
except your developers, which are important.
All right, we have any other questions? Yes, go ahead, Richard.
I would like to make a motion to approve an ordinance for the city of Ocean Shore, for the city council of the city of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending sections 15.10.010 and 15.10.030 of chapter 15.10 Energy Code of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next, we have another ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, creating Chapter 15.14 of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code regarding stainless steel requirements for coastal fronting structures and establishing an effective date. And this is also presented by our building official, Roy Simmons.
So I've in the last 3 years have been through almost all of the commercial buildings, and my best guess is probably over 1,000 residences doing inspections and whatnot. And as I'm climbing around these buildings and houses, I find that a lot of eroded hardware. So this hardware, like a joist hanger, for instance, would carry joists that carry a deck. Some of these decks can be 3 feet off the ground. Some of these can be 40 feet off the ground. When I first became super aware of this, it was in a hotel that had 4-story decks and probably 65, decks that were up at that level. And I'm looking at the joist hangers. There's nothing there. And so I did take some pictures of another building, and so these are. If you look at the hanger there, I don't know if they can get into that, but that's one joist hanger there, and this deck here is 30 feet in the air, and you can see they put a new bracket on the inboard side. That's stainless steel. The one that's all rusted there, that's carrying the center section of that deck. If we could move into, and so these are the things. These are quite. This one's second or third story in the air, and you can see these hangers are completely rotten. And there's no way really to test these, and it wouldn't come to anybody's attention until maybe there's a failure. And so as invasive as some of my inspections are, I believe they're essential in keeping people from getting hurt. And this is carrying a beam that carries a deck, and that one there is about 38 feet in the air. So the hangers on these things, you can take your hand and basically crumble them, and that's what's holding these things up off the ground. And there's and this beam here is carrying, it carries part of that portico right there, and it goes back in and carries the whole back section of the building. And all of the hangers, I had an engineer come in and we had to replace all of them. You can't really see it, but you won't see the bottom of that hanger. If you look at it, there's no bottom to it. And this is an operating business that has people coming in and out of there all day. And the last picture that we have is more. It was there. Oh, okay, I thought I sent you 2 emails. There was another one, but the last picture I had was a series of joist hangers that had no saddles in them. That's the bottom that carries the weight. So, at any rate, these are some of the things that have come to my attention, and I'm kind of worried about. You get along the jetty, and the house is on Sand Dune and Ocean Shores Boulevard, and it's really bad. It starts as a siding repair, and they end up rebuilding the whole back of the house. So, on a lot of these, and it's just exposed. If the hanger is exposed, if the bracket is exposed, if the tension ties, there's all these different hardware, nails, screws, bolts, anything that's exposed, I would want to be stainless steel. There's different kinds of hardware out there. Stainless steel it's got alloy in it that makes it stainless steel all the way through, right? So that whole thing is stainless steel. They have hot dip galvanized. There's different ways of plating steel in iron hangers, and if you scratch it, it's done. You drive a nail into it and you crack that surface, that hanger, you'll see rust on it within 2 weeks. These things, it does work good inside, if you were away from the salt air, but I'm finding eroded hardware and nails and fasteners and flashings all over the city. So you're on the lake or whatever. I moved in my house 3 years later, my doorbell, it wasn't working, and I go to fix it and it just fell apart because it completely eroded inside. And I'm not on the salt water, but we're all on the salt water. The study, instead of making this a hardship on anybody or trying to, push too far, I went through, there was FEMA did a study, and it was the National Flood Institute program that did this, and it talks about fasteners and hardware that's in coastal areas specifically. And it was a report done in 2019. It still stands up today, but it talks about distances from the salt water and where the worst and the most harsh environment and what it does to these particular fasteners and hardware. And they drew a line at 800 feet. They're not saying that at 810 feet it's a whole lot less, but they drew a line at 800 feet if you read the study. And so I was going to stick with their report on that. And then if we find more issues, farther in, then maybe we'll come back at this again. But I didn't want to be too aggressive on the first shot. I didn't know you guys were going to approve everything I was saying today. So maybe I should ask for more. No, I'm kidding. But at any rate, that was the reasoning for changing this and adding it into the code.
All right, thanks, Roy. Is there any public comment? All right, I don't see any. Council, any questions or comments? Go ahead, Lisa.
So it's funny you say that because I was looking at this thinking, let's take the 800 out because we see it corrosion everywhere, whether you're 800 feet in or not. And I know it's like ripping the Band-Aid off, but I would be in favor of taking the 800 out.
All right, Rich.
I reached out to a couple of contractors that build homes around the peninsula. And if I may, I'd just like to read their few sentences. One of the contractors said the ordinance is likely needed considering how corrosive saltwater is. However, I think we need more clarification. What constitutes the shoreline? Is it the ordinary high water mark? Is it the start of the property line? Does it include any waterfront property in ocean shores, lakes and canals? They could be considered coastal shorelines, fresh or salt water. At the end of the day, there really isn't much ocean shores that isn't close to 800 feet from a shoreline. Is that the intent of the ordinance? Does this apply if the subject fastener, brackets, hold downs, etc., are covered with hardy or other materials? It'd be nice to make sure the nuances are addressed so that it doesn't become an ocean shores wide requirement. This will likely add $4,000 to $10,000 to the cost of a build. A different contractor said, in my opinion, I think it's the right thing to use stainless steel on the beach as it is the only metal that lasts more than 5 years. But that being said, I do not believe that it should be a code requirement to use stainless steel. It is a choice of the customer as it does substantially add to the cost of the job, especially when doing an exterior deck. If the city would like to add this ordinance to the code, would this include stainless nails on roofing as well as all siding jobs? Also, it would be wise to add roof flashings as well to the ordinance if you were to pass this. The 800-foot clause in the ordinance is a faulty statement since the town of Ocean Shores is surrounded by salt water, with the ocean being on one side and the bay wrapping around the back of it. Makes no sense to me. If the city's going to do this, just adopt it for the whole town. I'm no expert, but I wanted just to hear some things from builders, and maybe they've got some points. I don't know.
All right, anybody else? Comments? Go ahead, Richard.
If you, Roy, if you would address the things that Councilmember Hartman just read, about flashing and those things, and I like what Lisa said about why just 800 feet. I think what this contractor hinted at should be the whole peninsula. And if I'm buying a house, my building inspector may not be as astute as you, and I may buy a house and think that I've got a good house, and I've got all of this rusted hangers that I'm not aware of. So anyway, if you comment on the comments that Rich read.
Yes, sir. So it's all exposed fasteners, flashings, and structural hardware. So it does cover the flashings and that, and it's the bigger thing is exposed. So the word exposed, I mean, we could explore that, but exposed is, if they had it covered in siding or they had the wrapped, it's just like using pressure treated beams throughout your house or pressure treated glue lamps or whatnot. You don't have to use those if you clad them and protect them from the weather. So the word exposed, if it's out there in the open. So siding, I would just tell you, side your house with galvanized, and the laps, the laps as they go up are covering the nails, but you put face nails like on a board and bat, and you'll see dime-sized rust rings in 3 to 5 years. And I see them all the time, and that's from using Galvies. But that is exposed. I wouldn't consider paint or caulking clad covered or what. That is an exposed nail. Roofing, if it's exposed, so like that would be your ridge cap, where you've got your roof to wall flashing, or where you've got your roof vents, and you'll have a couple of tabs, that you've nailed into or screwed into, and that is exposed to the weather, and it should be stainless steel. So,
All right, that's good. Thank you, Roy. Yes, Lisa.
That was Rich. That was pretty clear to me because Roy did mention that was exposed, and that's how I took it. So if your joist hangers are covered with siding, that is not exposed. So depending upon how it's hung, that's how I took it.
Yes, Rich.
I'm not against the idea of this. I just think that we need to do some tweaks personally. I obviously live on the ocean, and I have not found a stainless steel product or any product that doesn't disintegrate almost immediately for me. So for an amateur, there's different grades of stainless steel even.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we get through some of that, because I've had stainless steel nails that they're rusty immediately, which makes no sense to me, but I've seen it.
yeah. Can I tell?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why they're rusting, but I do know there is a difference between 304 and 316 stainless steel. Again, a lot of times it's is the bracket stainless steel or the nail stain. If they're dissimilar metals, there's an electrolysis that happens there, and it starts degrading one of the product, and it's usually the smaller, thinner member. So, yeah, there's a lot to it. I've seen hot dip galvanized put in the sound area on the Puget Sound in the salt air, and it performs okay, except guys are driving nails into it with a hammer, and as soon as you fuzz that up or chip it, that rust forms right away. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I truly believe that it's multiple times better than going with a zinc or which is basically the hot dip, but they do have regular zinc hangers, and then they have the coated hot dipped. Those are kind of our choices out here, and out of all those, I believe, and I have seen the stainless. In one of those pictures that was up there, you would see one joist bay has stainless in it, and it's the same age. It was put together at the same time, and it's fine, and the hanger's pretty much toast. But the cost of $10,000. So I would just speak to the energy code was going to cost $25,000-$30,000, and as we navigate our way through the code, the actual cost over what you would already spend on a house is getting closer to 8 to 12. So it's usually a reactionary thing where it's like it's thousands. But if every hanger was $10 a hanger, and you had 40 hangers on there, that's your cost, right? And your bolts, you know, at $2 or $3 a bolt for the stainless steel, it's certainly going to outlive anything else. I know it's not perfect, but it is the best product that they have out there right now. So, and that's, you know, that's why I'm pushing for it. So,
All right, thanks, Roy. Denise?
I just wanted to say it's when we built a house, we were more than 800 feet. And my husband did specify for every single part that you mentioned, stainless steel and whatever the type of stainless steel. And we did notice that our neighbors that did not have that, what you were describing. So I would certainly agree with Lisa of taking the 800 feet out. We are surrounded by water.
Yes, Richard?
So I have just one more question, and Mary Eldwin and I spoke about this, but I'm still a little bit confused. Would this apply, for example, to deck screws, to screw the planks down on my deck?
if it's exposed, yes, sir, it would. Deck screws are sit right on top of your deck there. And I can tell you on the 4-story deck, the reason why I went under the deck was I went up on these decks and I'm up there and the planks are all loose. And it's like, why is this all loose? I'm looking down and there's screw heads on there. And it had rusted and eaten all of the screw heads. So that prompted me to go back under the deck and see what's going on. And the hangers are gone. And it's like, I'm never going on the deck without going under it first again. But yeah, and a lot of these, if you put that multi-$1,000 Trex deck on there, or your nice clear cedar or whatever you're doing on your deck, last thing you'd want to do is come out and see puddles, quarter-size rust, forming on your deck planks. So, but yeah, I would require that. Yeah, it's exposed.
All right, Lisa?
Just one last thing too, just for the cost, I think, short-term maintenance versus a little longer-term maintenance might be a wash in terms of cost. Instead of maybe replacing your joist hangers every 2 years, you've got 5, I don't know. But just a thought, because it's going to cost more in the long run if you have to replace it all anyway.
All right.
And I'm asking the rest of the council, otherwise this ordinance looks pretty good as it is written, except remove that 800 feet, make it the whole peninsula. And Scott, what would that's a very minor change. It should
I'm not our building inspector, but it seems reasonable to me, just based on our geography.
No, my question is, first, just to make that one word change and pass this ordinance as it is.
Yeah, and apply it to the city of Ocean Shores.
So I'd like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to remove the 800-foot criteria. So that's my motion. I'd like to make a motion to amend the 800-foot criteria on the chapter 15.14 municipal code.
To just make it, look, there might be more than one, just the 800. You might just to make it work for all the city.
Yeah.
Whatever whatever language change that is.
Right.
I second that.
Yes.
All right, we have a second for the amendment to the ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to, or?
All right, can you do a roll call?
Oh, there was a no? I didn't see the no.
Councilmember Sires. Councilmember Sires is a yes. Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor is a yes. Councilmember Griebel.
Yes.
Councilmember Griebel is a yes. Councilmember Scott.
Yes.
Councilmember Scott is a yes. Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein is a yes. Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman is a yes. Councilmember Wills.
Yes.
Councilmember Wills is a yes. That's 7 yeses.
Thanks. Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, creating Chapter 1514 of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code regarding stainless steel requirements for coastal fronting structures and establishing an effective date as amended.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, we got a request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to award the Ocean Shores Golf Course netting replacement project to Brumfield Construction. And that'll be presented by City Administrator Scott Anderson.
All right, good evening again. This is actually ends up being kind of a happy story on this one. We originally put this out to bid, and we had three. Oh yes, this is the second time because we put it out to bid, and we had three bids that came back, but two of them were what are deemed like non-responsive bids, meaning they didn't have all the proper paperwork, they didn't have the proper agreements on it. And the high bid at that time was $89,000 for this project. And it is something that's extremely needed. We really do need the netting on that golf course for the driving range. So there's no one disputing the need. But the Mayor Eldwin said, $89,000 and we just got the one bid. Let's put it back out and see what happens. And this ends up being a very happy story. And I'm glad we put it back out because the same bidder that bid $89,000 that would have been the winner came back and readjusted their bid based on the other bids that were afforded in the first round, and they came back with $48,000. So that's quite a change. But it saves the city almost $40,000 in doing that. So based on that information and based on that, I'm just asking that the city council award Ocean Shores Golf Course to this contract to Brumfield Construction. At a cost of $48,000. Sorry, $48,000. My bad. All right.
All right, thanks. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none. Council, any comments?
So there was a question that came to me, and I just wanted to ask that if there are any, in the net project, if there are any structural components that need to be changed potentially when the netting goes up, if something's rotted at the top or some hole or something, will we, is that part of the contract or we'd have to address that separately?
We would probably have to address that separately.
Okay, all right. That was all the questions.
Okay, sounds good. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Rich.
Just as a side comment, I know it just seems like netting for the golf course, and it's not that big a deal. But the only revenue generation we really have in the wintertime when it's raining is people love to use the driving range. And it is covered. And the more that we can do to keep that driving range, hard to say state of the art, but acceptable and good quality, mats and roof under repair, the more we're going to help that golf course generate revenue. And that's what this is all about. So thank you for getting a great bid.
All right, any other? Yes, Richard?
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, awarding the Ocean Shores Golf Course netting replacement project to Brumfield Construction.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we have no discussions, no executive session. Agenda Review Committee will be Council Members Scott, Griebel, and Klein. That's at 9 a.m. this Thursday, the 13th. Now we have good of the order. Richard, would you like to start us?
I don't have anything for the good of the order except that I keep being impressed by how good our city staff is, how responsive and how efficient they are. So thank you, city staff.
All right, thank you. Rich?
I just wanted to comment, especially this time of the year, how important it is that we all help our local businesses and support our local businesses. This is their shoulder season for sure. And, just to make an effort to go to Buck Electric instead of buying the item on Amazon, going to the restaurant more often than maybe you think. Anything you can do to help support these businesses that are here year round, they need our love.
All right, to Allison. You have nothing, I understand. Okay, Lisa.
I have two things. First, I'm really excited with the direction that the golf course is going, and I think they're working on some events to help bring in even more people to the community, especially in advertising. So when those get cemented in, I'll be bringing those forward. But some things to really bring the community together as much as humanly possible. The second thing is on April 24th at 6 o'clock, we'll be doing a city council chats with Rich Hartman, Allison Klein, and myself. The next one will be on May 22nd at 6 o'clock, and I'm hopeful I can get Denise, Tom, and Lisa Griebel on that one. I know that it's been a while since we did them, and last time was a little rusty, and I know that we need to give some good time for people to get up and talk. So I'm hoping you guys could do the May 22nd, and then after, I think May, June, July is off, and we start again in August, we'll open it back up. But I'm hopeful that we can do that. I think we're going to kind of go back to the old style of how we used to do council chats, where we would sit in chairs at the front, and really we don't have an agenda because it's a time for the community to come and ask us any questions. Sure, we probably won't know everything, but we can definitely get your information if we don't know and get back to you on that specific topic. But we want to try to keep it as open and flexible as possible, and I think to the point each person will be given the opportunity to answer a question in the beginning, and we'll rotate that way, and the rest can jump in. But rather than have one person kind of just answer questions, we'll give everybody ample opportunity in that regard. So again, get the word out, April 24th, 6 o'clock. We'll get that on the website. We'll do some more communications in our council meetings as well regarding that. But we're excited to bring that forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Griebel.
Thank you. I would like to just join in our community in expressing condolences to the family of our former councilman, Robert Peterson, who passed away last week. He was loved our community and served it not just in the educational capacity, but as a council member and on several boards. And he loved this town. So I just hope, again, I know that we've all expressed our heartfelt thanks for his service and want to express condolences to his family and friends.
All right, thank you. Tom.
You're going to have me talk, huh? With everything that's been going around in this world that we live in, I watched a very nice and peaceful Ringo Starr get money for the fires in Southern California, and his background of loving the people and loving the music. It wasn't for the money. It wasn't for accolades. It was because that's where his heart is. And I like to say that that's where we are. We do this because that's where our heart is. Whether or not we all agree or not, I think this is why we do it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Denise.
I watched Ringo Starr too. I won't tell you what year I actually saw the Beatles in. I wanted to thank the attendees for coming to the city chat and to the town hall. Those who came in person and those who watched, especially the town hall on Zoom. There were some comments that there weren't enough people there, and there's no such thing as enough people. It's the people who come who are interested, and whether that topic is something that an individual is interested in or not, the fact that we're having the town halls and the city chat is what's important for an opportunity to interact with our constituents. And I also wanted to thank Keitha and the Board of Trustees that we really do have an incredible library here in this town. Having worked for a large library system, I think some people don't realize what a treasure we have with all of the programs and all of the services that we have at the Ocean Shores Library. So thanks to the board and thanks to the staff there.
So Frank, before we adjourn, can I
say thanks, Denise?
Yes, thanks, Denise. I also
Okay.
want to say thanks,
Go ahead,
Lisa.
Richard.
I also want to say thanks, Lisa. And one of the comments that was made at the last city chat was microphones, because those sitting in the back can't hear those people who are facing the front. And another suggestion for the city council to consider is sitting in a circle so that we're all kind of facing and can see each other. But that's something, you, Lisa, can think about that and discuss with this next chat board. But microphones, I think, will be very important. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned.